So I asked Marco to invite me to present here last week as we're starting to roll our activity into Europe. We've been active only on the American market so far. Few words about who we are, what we do. So I founded the company in 2010 with the vision of helping people turning in their intangible assets, like their talent, their time, their passions, into Soho businesses, small offices and home operation businesses. Today we are 26 people. We have 2 offices in San Francisco and in Tel Aviv. And we're serving over 1 million people who launch their businesses through our platform. And the first thing I have to tell you is, although all the graph we saw here today with the wonderful companies, that being the first to do something in the market, most of the trend we saw looked like that. There were no stable trend. The J-curve, the famous J-curve, took us a long time to reach. And we saw different patterns of activity, which through them, we learn what our user wants, how they would like to interact with our platform, how they would like to pay for the service they get. Do they want to be the product, or maybe they don't want to be the product, they want to be just users. And so the first J-curve we focused on was our learning curve. For the first 2 years, we just learned exactly what they want. What is Soho? Because it was a completely new market. Everyone spoke about SMB, small, medium-sized businesses. And those businesses are very different from Soho. Soho are private people that run small businesses. They are not small businesses. And it's a completely different entity, completely different needs. They behave more like private consumer than business entities. And that required a lot of studying. And part of what we studied was it's an unbelievably huge market. So if everyone here speak about how scalable is internet business, I think that the moment that today the internet basically is, there's this private section serving end users and enterprise software businesses serving big enterprise. The moment the barrier between private consumer and enterprise software will find the right business model to scale, then internet business can scale forever. And this is exactly this market, the Soho segment. There are over 25 million Soho businesses in the United States, and over 160 million people that if you ask them, their passion is one day to launch their business. And this is huge market that if gets the opportunity, will try and launch their business. There are 2 billion people who would like to be their own boss. It's the second common dream in the world after travel. This is the first thing we found about our segment in the market. The second thing we had to learn was what makes them tick. And at the end of the day, every business pools is the invoicing. Because an invoice is the best way to know that a transaction was a successful transaction. And business is all about transaction. It doesn't matter if you're a SO or SMB, an enterprise, a huge corporate. At the end of the day, if you generate an invoice, you had a very successful transaction. But when it comes to Soho, invoicing is just generating the database. It doesn't generate the marketing, the sale, the lead gen, the payment collection. And most SO in the world are a single individual who run the business. So they can do it all. What we found out that if we use invoicing as the heart of the system, we pull them in with great invoicing solution, generate their database through the invoicing, and auto-build around them online storefront, website, inventory management, contact management, we generate enough ecosystem for their business to automate the next sale. So suddenly they created an invoice with some product or some service they sold, and without doing anything, there's an online store somewhere with their address with this product. This online store generates the next lead for them, and the next lead generates the next sale, the next sale, the next payment, and invoicing again. This is why we call it a pulse, because it's circulating around the invoicing, but in the end of the day, one invoice should be the entry point to the next invoice after a few circles. In the last 2 years, we again, while we're studying what they like, We were lucky to have over 1.1 million businesses joining us, about 60% of them coming from the American market. We do have 10% of our user base coming from the UK, although we weren't officially active in this market yet. I think most of the tier one media outlets wrote about us at some point or another through the last 2 years. And the most important thing is we figure out how to scale user acquisition in this segment. And the user acquisition plus the business model, this is the tricky part of our segment in the market, because there are not really businesses that are willing to put out their credit card very quickly and buy services. But on the other hand, there are not Facebook users as well who are willing to be the product. So you have to find ways to dance in the middle. Today, our product is very, very simple. Get organized, get promoted, get paid. Doesn't matter what kind of business you have, you still need those three as the spine of the business. And of course, it's cross-platform. We have a mobile app and a web app, of course. After learning all this, we started to see our J-curve starting to emerge in different segments. The first thing to scale was the user base and the active user base. We have over 600,000 active users, which active user is someone who logged into the system in the last month. And for Soho, it's quite a lot, because most of them are seasonal. They use the system ad hoc when they have something happen. A lot of time they're moonlighting. We have a day job. And still over 600,000 logged in a month. The one on the right side, the upper right side, is organic growth. Today, 60% of the new registration to the system are coming from completely organic sources. And organic sources can be extension of the system. So for example, when someone sends an invoice through the system, someone else sees this invoice. And this is a great organic and viral way to show other individual how easy it is to take the leap and turn your passion into business. And that generates a lot of growth for us. And on the bottom right side, you can see the cohort analysis of activity in the system. And what we see is that in the beginning, people are coming and they do a lot of activity because they try the system. And after a while, it's dropped. And then over time, they use the system more and more and more, meaning the invoice pools getting faster and faster, and they see more values as they use more the system. After establishing big user base, strong engagement and retention, we ask ourselves, okay, but what is the right business model, not just for stage one, but to scale the business toward later stages? And we made a lot of A/B testing. I think internet business, the great thing about it, you can test everything. You don't have to do any assumption. You just try and see the results, and change and see the results. And we did a lot of that. And what we found out is something very interesting. The unique economic cannot turn positive on Soho market if you try to give them a free platform and convert on premium services. So when we try to give the platform for free, all the services for free, and say, hey, but when you do something extra, buy it from us, a lot of them did. But the unique economics versus how much it costs to acquire those users didn't make sense. We left with two possible models. One, we can turn our users into product. We heard about a lot of companies doing it very successfully here on the stage today. Personally, I don't believe in this model for Soho market. I think it's a strong model for consumers. But business data is not private data. You cannot trade this data. The user doesn't want to feel exposed to advertisement when he's running his business. And so we put it away immediately. This is not the space we want to be in. And we left with a very simple model. You can try the system and pay for it. And we see a lot in business industry that, and I am the same sickness in a way. We're afraid to charge money for good product. And at the end of the day, the user willing to pay money for good product. So this is the conclusion we got to. And today we have a very simple, straightforward, you want the system, pay us $10 a month business model. And we see a positive unit economic. It takes us between 5 to 8 months to create a return of investment on a paying user. And since we launched this model, in October, we already saw almost 8% conversion from sign-ups to paying users, while about a third of them are paying for a year in advance. So they're returning the investment immediately when they're turning into paying users. This is an opposite J-curve. I never thought I would be happy to see opposite J-curve. But this is the cost of acquisition and the ROI trends that we see since we launched this model. And it's continued to drop. We want to stabilize it in around $50 per paying user. And there's a lot of churn in these users. So we have to make sure they stay alive in the system at least 5 to 6 months to cover their cost unless they pay annual. So this is why $50 is a good metrics for us. Another surprising thing that happened was that it's opened for us a completely new market we never thought of, which is the enterprise market. We just closed 2 big deals with 2 banks. One of them in Israel, it's called Bank Leumi, and the other one, I can't say the name right now because we are in final negotiation of the agreement, but it's a big Australian bank. And the deal is, since we moved to a pay-per-seat model a few months ago, they would like to buy seats for us and encourage their private consumer, turn their passion into their businesses, and through that, generating their future SMB market. So Bank Leumi bought 60,000 seats from us. The other bank bought 50,000 seats, and they pay us on the regular business model, pay-per-seat per month basis. And we never expected it to happen. It's just emerged out of the business model. The future is very simple. Today, there are 500 million Soho businesses worldwide, and another 2 billion people that, given the chance, will be happy to try. Now, a chance is not a promise for success. A chance is just showing them there is no risk involved. You can try 2 weeks, don't leave your day job, put your stuff here, and see what happens. This is a chance, the way we see it for Soho. That's it. It's a very simple market at the end of the day. Thank you.